Well, hello and welcome to the podcast. Today, the Trump tariffs going into effect, and we wanted to dig into this a little bit. Just why is everything so freaking expensive around here? Brian MacMillan, I'm Bill Wixey, Erin Mayovsky, Adam Gehrke here from Good Day Seattle, and we wanted to dive into this a little bit. And I was curious, like how much tariffs are to blame? And the tariffs implemented this year have already had an impact on consumer prices in the country, with overall average increases of 1.8% in the short term. That's up to this point, and that's an average household income loss of $2,400 to this point in 2025. And as we keep hearing from economists, more out of our pocket is going to come down the line. Are you guys noticing this in your day-to-day? And in which facet of your budgeting are you noticing?
I notice a lot when I go to the grocery store. I am now shopping at several different grocery stores. I'm going to Whole Foods because their brand, their store brand, is cheaper than, say, like the Philadelphia cream cheese brand. So you're saving $2 or $3 there. But then I'm going to Trader Joe's just to, get some of their deals, and then Fred Meyer, and then Met Market and QFC and Albertson. So I'm all over shopping, and it's kind of a pain.
Yeah. And Trader Joe's is a good strategy. I was looking at one list that was saying that actually Winco is one of the best in our area in terms of keeping their prices low. They don't accept credit cards to avoid paying transaction fees. They don't employ baggers, and they don't spend a dime on advertising, and they pass the savings on to you. And they say that's a good place to get a lot of bang for your buck. And then, of course, Costco,
you were going to say that.
Which is, buying in bulk. And I have to be honest, I have a phobia about Costco in general. No, it's seriously,
really?
If I don't go there on like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, I don't want to venture anywhere near Costco. It just freaks me out. It's just too many people and just too much.
We've done, I love it regardless. I think it's like a game to me with all of those people and zooming around. But I found that Costco actually is better for our family. We have a family of 4 here right now. That is the spot that we're doing a lot of our shopping because it is just way cheaper with the grocery store prices right now. Yeah. The bags, like if you're just to take 2 or 3 bags of groceries now, that is easily $100, $150.
Oh, 100%.
And whereas maybe 10 years ago, that was, half that maybe.
Or 60, 68 was what I used to average. I realized because I could carry 2 grocery bags.
Right.
And each one was about $30 to $40 a piece, really, and now,
And on top of that, and this was a problem before the tariffs, but you have shrinkflation as well, so you're not getting as much product. And that, those things are a little frustrating right now. So I find myself either not getting some things and just getting absolutely what I need, or I'm going and buying it in bulk instead.
Go ahead.
Have any of you shifted the dietary makeup in your house? Like beef, for example, is very expensive now, and there's actually a beef shortage because of environmental reasons and whatnot. So like the beef farmers are producing less, and so that's driving the price up. So a lot, I think, of folks who have switched to a plant-based diet, like chickpeas and tofu and things like that, that is less expensive. Have any of you made that shift?
Not all the way, but I've shifted some. When the price is too high, then I look at other options for that, because it's just something you have to do. And I was looking at a stat here. So it says Washingtonians spend $263 per person on groceries each month, with 42% struggling to afford essentials.
Right.
That's really difficult.
That's way
that's
higher than the national average. We're paying more around here than the national average just about at every turn. The cost of living in Seattle, 45% higher than the national average. Housing costs in Seattle, 112% higher than the national average. Gas is expensive around here. The national average right now, $3.26. We pay way more than that, an average of $4.59 in our state. And obviously, tax is a big reason for that.
And I mean, how can you afford a house at $1 million?
Right.
That's the average.
The starter
right
house being $1 million, $1.2 million to start.
Back when my parents were buying a house, they said, I think it was $59,000.
Hard to believe, right? I mean, Mom bought her house for $28,000 in 1978.
Oh my gosh!
Right? Those were the days.
All this makes me wonder, and as we're seeing just the beginning of what we're expecting to be the beginning of these struggles, like what are people going to do? My wife and I talk about that. Like, what are people who are already struggling going to do as it continues to get worse? Because it seems as though, listening to the headlines, listening to economists, it is going to get worse. Things are going to continue to get more expensive.
And it's going to impact our day-to-day bills.
Yeah.
One bill that's getting more expensive, and a lot of people don't even think all that much about it, is taking an Uber. And you pointed this out. Uber has gotten way more expensive. A recent study showing that Seattle has the most expensive Uber rates in the entire country. And Shira Matsuzawa takes a closer look at that.
Luggage wheels hitting the pavement, travelers hopping into their Ubers. Like clockwork, you can expect to see this scene at SeaTac Airport at all hours of the day, but it comes with a price tag.
It's like $91 to get over to his apartment right now.
Alex is helping his brother move from Bothell to Arizona. He had a $100 Uber gift card, which he thought would get him to and from the airport. But that won't be the case. He also used to drive for Uber and was shocked by the difference in prices.
For like a 40-minute drive like that, 45 minutes, it'd be like $40, somewhere around there. So it's like almost, well, more than double than it is in Arizona.
It's kind of unfair to those who like need to get places but can't afford it maybe. And like even the people who can't afford it, it's like a lot.
Gabby Reichstein ordered an Uber to Kirkland. Her Uber cost?
$123.
It's pretty expensive, so I travel a lot for work, and I would compare this probably to LA pricing, where you're not going too far. You know, it's a 30-minute ride, but it's, I think, $70, so it's a little up there for sure.
Noah Becker was going from the airport to downtown Seattle, a 14-mile drive. For perspective, we looked up other 14-mile drives and how much those Uber rides would cost. From North Everett to Payne Field, $40.92. That's about $30 less than Noah's ride. And from downtown Kirkland to the Landing in Renton, $54.95. Mohammed Issei has been driving Uber since 2016.
Yeah.
He says it's more expensive than a taxi because people are paying for the service.
Not same the Uber rate, you know. Taxi rate is a little bit down. Uber is a little bit up. But people, customers, they like Uber.
Taxi driver Devinder Singh says it also comes down to those rates.
They saying is like Uber Lyft is very expensive because they are like software companies. They can do price up and down. So taxi is like set the rate by city and county. So we had to go with that.
But for Ariel Hardy, she's okay with paying more for the convenience.
We pay more. You pay more, you get a nice, classy ride.
And that was Shira Matsuzawa reporting there. So the point is, taxis generally can be a lot less expensive than Uber. You noticed this at the airport. But what's nice about the airport, yes, you get a cheaper ride, but you can find a taxi there. It's tough to, in this, technological age, it's kind of a pain to call up the taxi company. I would like a taxi to come to my address at certain time. The Uber makes it so easy. So now we're paying for that convenience, whereas before they were undercutting the taxi companies.
And
it's
now
not
the
like that
taxi
anymore.
companies are about $20 cheaper, if not more, per ride. And we did it just this year, a couple months ago on the way home from the airport. And I was with my dad, and he said, "No, let's take a taxi." And I thought, oh, okay. But the Uber line, you had to get on the app. It was freezing, and the taxi was right there, and it was clean and nice and
cheaper and way more convenient from the airport than the Uber. Wow. Yeah. So in terms of overall costs, have you guys had to change strategies and budgeting at all over the last 6-8 months?
Oh yeah, and I think for me the change or the strategy in saving has changed as well. One of the things I know that in our house we look to is like a high yield savings account for a number of things. So there's a number of companies out there that do that, and they usually give you 4% back on your investing with them or putting in their savings. But I learned something the other day that's even craftier than that, and that is using the actual U.S. Treasury. So if you go to treasurydirect.gov, which is a government sanctioned way to buy Treasury bills, you can do that, and instead of getting the 4% that you would get with often these high yield savings accounts, you get 5%, which is what those high yield companies are usually doing. They're using those treasury bonds at 5%. They're pocketing 1% for themselves and giving you 4% and calling it a deal. So if you go to the government directly at treasurydirect.gov, you can actually get a 5% yield return on your savings, and you can put it in for 3 months, 6 months, a year, or whatever, and so you're actually benefiting better on the back end of that equation.
And so the 5% more that we're spending for groceries and such,
you're making it back
can help
in some way.
offset that in some ways. Have you guys had to change your budgeting at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been putting off some home projects. We've been, to maybe have to wait a little bit longer to get some certain things done. When we go to the grocery store, we really think about it a lot more. Okay, what exactly do we need? Let's make a list instead of just wandering the aisles. we've been a lot more deliberate about our purchases and wants versus needs as well. So there's a lot more thought that goes into what we're buying right now. And I don't know if you guys feel this way, but we're buckling down a little bit because not quite sure what's to come.
And I think that's the uncertainty there. You just don't know which route you're going. And I was trying to tell my son who's going to college, he's getting graduation money, and it's been really nice to all family and friends, so thank you for helping. But we're putting that into his savings account, and then I just recently transferred it into a different one, so he just didn't see it because he has access to that. Not that he's going to spend it, but you know what I mean? So we're trying to show him a budget at the grocery store, like, here, these are the things we need. Let's go to a couple of the wants and see if they're on sale. But he's going to have to do that when he, goes on to college, and he's going to learn real quick that money goes just like that.
It's going to go real fast, yeah.
And they're used to not having to budget as much. I mean, we've always been kind of price conscious as a family, like letting our kids know, hey, these are the things that are most expensive. Here's your money. Go ahead and spend it when you want. But if you go to Starbucks every day, it's gone just like that. So it's a luxury.
So I don't know about you guys, but when I was first, trying to figure out how to get a budget established for my family, we used to do envelopes, and we would put cash in an envelope, and when the money runs out of that envelope, for each individual thing, you're just plain out of money and you don't have any more. And so that really forced you to look at it with cold hard cash and figure that out. Well, it's making a comeback now. It's a trend that's making the rounds on TikTok called the cash only weekend, calling for you to pull out a set amount of cash on a Friday and then making that amount of cash last until Sunday, and a direct response to tap and go spending. And I don't know about you, but apps like Apple Pay, it is way too easy to tap it. That money disappears. You don't even think about it. That's another real problem these days.
Do you know where I really notice it, to be honest, is going to concerts or football games or baseball games now. You just kind of tap your card, and you go in there and you just grab whatever you want and you walk out, and you don't even see a total anymore.
Well,
you just walk out.
You didn't even realize that can of soda or whatever was 14
Right,
bucks.
exactly. So now, like, those things, I mean, and you go home and then you're just like, oh no, I really spent $200.
When you do that, do you have it associated with your Visa card, or does it associate with your bank card? Because if it's with your bank card, it's kind of like spending cash, right? Because it directly comes out. But I have my Visa attached to it, so I can kind of keep track of it a little more. But then that makes it a little easier to be like, okay, I'll just pay for this later, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, like, maybe I should just take it off 100%.
I mean, to the point of that, there is a reason why casinos issue chips, and you're not putting a $20 bill down on the table. Because if you can disassociate from what a $20 bill is, oh, it's just this piece of plastic, it's this token. That's actually the psychology behind it, is that you're more willing to make these bets and things and get further and further into the pot, and next thing you know,
and that's the game that Apple Pay is playing,
Exactly.
Just the tap and go. Oh, it's so convenient for us to just throw our money away.
Yeah.
True. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next time on the podcast.